When we think of greatness, many people imagine someone born into privilege, with access to wealth, education, and every possible advantage. But sometimes the most powerful stories are written by those who begin with nothing. Imagine a little boy growing up in poverty where even the simplest dream feels too heavy to carry. Instead of toys, he had responsibilities. Instead of freedom, he had survival. Yet inside him lived a spark that refused to die. That spark would one day create something the world now knows as Hyundai. He was not given opportunities, he had to make them. He was not handed success, he had to fight for every single step. As a child, he worked with his hands not to build empires, but simply to put food on the table. Yet those same hands that once carried the weight of struggle also carried the weight of vision. He dreamed not of escaping his circumstances, but of transforming them into a ladder, step by step, that would one day lift him and countless others higher. Think of the courage it takes to rise when everything around you tells you to settle. Think of the determination it takes to see possibility in places where people see only walls. He believed that poverty was not a life sentence, but a beginning. Each hardship he faced was not the end, but the lesson he needed to grow stronger. That mindset, that refusal to accept limits, is what transformed his journey. The company he built was not just about cars. It was about hope. Every vehicle that rolled out of his factory carried more than steel and wheels. It carried the story of resilience. It carried the proof that a child with nothing can grow into a leader with everything. Hyundai became not just a business, but a symbol that no matter how poor your start, you can still leave a mark on the world so strong that millions recognize it. What makes this story so moving is not just the success, but the humility. Even as he rose higher, he never forgot what it meant to have nothing. He understood hunger, he understood struggle, and because of that, he understood people. That is why Hyundai is not only about machines, it is about dreams, jobs, and dignity. It created opportunities for thousands of families, breaking the same chains of poverty that once held him down. As girls, as young women, we are often told that dreams are too big, too unrealistic, or too far from reach. But this story teaches us something vital. No dream is too big if the heart behind it is determined enough. Hyundai stands today not because of privilege, but because of perseverance. And if a poor boy from nowhere could build something so powerful, then we too can rise above whatever challenges stand in our way. The story of Hyundai is not just the story of a company. It is the story of courage, vision, and faith in the impossible. It is proof that beginnings do not define endings, and that sometimes the people who seem to have the least are the ones who give the world the most. Imagine a young child born into poverty, where the world around her is filled with struggles that many cannot even imagine. Every day begins with a challenge, whether it is the search for food, the responsibility of helping the family, or the constant reminder that dreams are often considered luxuries. Yet within this child's heart burns a quiet determination, a belief that even the smallest seed of hope can grow into something extraordinary. This determination, this fire that refuses to go out, is what transforms ordinary struggles into extraordinary stepping stones. To understand how someone could rise from the dust of poverty to create something as impactful as Hyundai, we must look at the mindset of a dreamer who refuses to give up no matter how many doors are closed. Poverty might strip away comfort, but it cannot take away vision. In fact, vision often grows brightest in darkness. The child who started with nothing did not see hunger as an end, but as a reason to strive. She learned early on that every obstacle carries within it a hidden lesson. When hands are too small to carry the load, the heart grows stronger. When the world says there is no way, imagination builds one. Step by step, struggle by struggle, the road to success begins to take shape, even if no one else can see it yet. Every job done in hardship, every moment of sacrifice, every tear shed in silence becomes a brick in the foundation of something greater. That is how struggles turn into stepping stones. They become the very tools that shape character, discipline, and courage. There is a power in starting from nothing, because when you have nothing to lose. This gives rise to boldness to risk taking, to a willingness to dream where others would quit. A child raised in poverty learns how to stretch every resource, how to turn scarcity into creativity, and how to fight for even the smallest chance. Those lessons are not taught in classrooms, but they are learned in life's harshest conditions, and when such lessons are carried into adulthood, they become the strongest weapons against failure. Hyundai did not rise from wealth or privilege, but from vision born in difficulty. The cars that the world drives today began as dreams inside the mind of someone who knew what it meant to walk without shoes. The factories that employ thousands of people were imagined by someone who once struggled to earn a single coin. The story is not about machines or industries, it is about a child who transformed personal struggle into global change. Every time an engine roars to life, it carries with it the sound of determination, the echo of a journey from poverty to prosperity. This story reminds us that beginnings do not define destiny. Many people believe that being born poor means staying poor, but those who rise prove that poverty is not a permanent identity. It is simply a circumstance, and circumstances can be changed with courage, vision, and relentless effort. The young child who had nothing but dreams refused to believe that hardship was the end. Instead, hardship became the motivation to rise higher, to push harder, and to prove that no dream is too far away. For every young girl listening, this story carries a message. Struggles are not signs of weakness, but signs of strength waiting to grow. Even if the world underestimates you, even if opportunities seem scarce, the determination inside your heart can turn those very struggles into bridges leading toward your future. A girl who starts with nothing can still build something powerful, something lasting, something that inspires the world. Poverty does not decide who you will be. It only decides where you start, and where you end is entirely up to your vision, your courage, and your willingness to transform struggles into stepping stones. Hardship is a teacher that no classroom can replace, and resilience is the strength that hardship leaves behind. When life tests a person through endless struggles, through days of hunger and nights of uncertainty, something begins to form deep inside, a determination that refuses to bend. Imagine a child who never knew the comfort of luxury, who walked on paths filled with dust and worked with hands too small to carry heavy loads. Every challenge met along the way became part of their training, shaping not only character, but also the courage to dream beyond limits. Where others saw only impossibility, hardship taught this child to see opportunity. Where others gave up, resilience whispered that each step forward, no matter how small, was still progress. Hardship has a way of polishing the human spirit the same way fire polishes gold. It strips away illusions and forces the heart to see what truly matters. It teaches discipline because every mistake costs dearly, and it teaches focus because distraction is a luxury the poor cannot afford. Each obstacle encountered is not simply a barrier but a lesson in patience, endurance, and creativity. When food is scarce, one learns resourcefulness. When money is absent, one learns the value of vision. And when the world seems unwilling to open its doors, one learns to build a door of their own. Such are the lessons that hardship delivers, lessons that later grow into the foundation of resilience. Resilience is more than just surviving. It is the ability to rise stronger after every fall. For someone who starts with nothing, failure is not an end but an expected companion along the journey. Each failure tests the will, asking whether to stop or to continue. And each time the choice is made to continue, resilience grows deeper roots. This resilience becomes a shield against doubt, a force that carries a person through storms that would break others. It is resilience that allows a dreamer to hold on when the world says it is impossible. It is resilience that transforms hardship into strength, poverty into vision, and fear into courage. The story of Hyundai is proof that hardship and resilience walk hand in hand. What began as survival eventually turned into success, and what began as struggle eventually turned into strength. A child who once labored to earn the smallest of wages carried within them the wisdom of hardship and the power of resilience. These were not abstract ideas, they were lived experiences. Every scar, every trial, every sacrifice became a reminder that pain could build empires if met with perseverance. That is why the company is not just a manufacturer of cars, but a living story of how hardship creates resilience, and resilience creates greatness. For those who look at success from the outside, it may seem sudden or magical, but behind it lies years of silent battles, nights when sleep was replaced with work, days when hunger was replaced with determination, and countless moments when quitting seemed easier than continuing. Yet resilience does not allow quitting to be the final choice. It pushes forward, even when progress feels invisible, until the dream begins to take shape in reality. As girls and young women, this lesson carries a message that goes beyond the name of a company. It shows us that every hardship we face today is not wasted. Every struggle in our studies, every doubt about our abilities, every challenge in our environment is a chance to grow resilient, and that resilience will be the strength that carries us into the future. We may not control the challenges we face, but we can control how we rise from them. Just like hardship became a teacher for that poor child, our own struggles can teach us lessons that no one can ever take away. Resilience is not something we are simply born with. It is something built day by day, trial by trial, until it becomes an unshakable part of who we are. Hyundai was never just about building cars. It was about building hope and vision from the ground up. When people see a car, they often think of design, speed, or technology. But behind Hyundai lies something deeper, something born out of struggle and fueled by determination. It began with someone who carried no privilege, no wealth, and no easy pathway forward, yet who held tightly to a vision that could not be shaken. That vision was not only to create machines of mobility, but to create opportunities, dignity, and progress for people who had long been told that life offered them nothing more than survival. To build Hyundai was to prove that even the poorest of beginnings could lead to the grandest of achievements if driven by unwavering hope. Hope has always been the foundation of transformation. Without hope, the poor remain in despair, trapped by the belief that tomorrow will be no different from today. But with hope, even the smallest steps forward become possible. The story of Hyundai is a story of hope because it was born from nothing but a dream. A dream that believed a boy with empty pockets could still carry a heart full of purpose. Hope turned scarcity into creativity, and creativity turned into action. What once seemed impossible began to look like a pathway forward, one brick laid at a time, one small victory earned after countless failures. That hope is what breathed life into a company that would one day stand tall across the world. Vision was equally important because hope without vision is only a wish. Vision is the ability to see what others cannot, to imagine a future that seems invisible to the eyes of the present. When everyone around saw poverty, vision saw potential. When people believed that such dreams were too big for someone so poor, vision answered with determination that no dream is too big when pursued with faith and effort. Hyundai's vision was not only to build cars for a few, but to create something for many, something that would move lives forward in more ways than one. Every design, every factory, every opportunity that came afterward was rooted in a vision larger than the self, a vision that aimed to uplift others as well. What makes Hyundai's journey extraordinary is that hope and vision were not confined to the personal dream of one individual. They expanded outward, touching lives, offering jobs, giving people chances to rise from their own struggles. The company became more than a place of work. It became a symbol of what was possible when resilience joined hands with vision. Factories did not only produce vehicles, they produced hope for families. Roads did not only connect cities, they connected dreams. Each car represented not just steel and wheels, but the spirit of a dream that refused to die in the face of poverty. When girls and women look at this story, it becomes a mirror of what is possible even when society tells us our dreams are too ambitious. Too often, young women are told that certain dreams are not for them, that leadership, innovation, or creating something as vast as Hyundai belongs to others. But hope and vision know no gender. They belong to anyone willing to nurture them, anyone ready to hold on through the storms of life. If a company of global influence can be born from poverty, then our own visions, no matter how small they may seem, hold the power to change our futures too. Hope is what gives us courage to begin, and vision is what gives us direction to continue. Together, they form the map that leads from struggle to achievement. Hyundai carries within its name the weight of this truth, that the most remarkable creations are not born from wealth but from courage, not from comfort but from vision, and not from privilege but from unshakable hope. Every car that carries its name on the road is a reminder that even from the poorest of beginnings, something beautiful and powerful can rise when hope and vision walk together. True success is never measured only by how high a person rises, but also by how many others they bring up along the way. Success without impact is empty, but success that creates opportunities, dignity, and growth for others is what leaves a legacy. The story of Hyundai is not just about creating cars, factories, or industries. It is about creating space for thousands of lives to be transformed. A child who once had nothing did not build only for themselves but built for others, ensuring that their rise would also be the rise of countless families. This is why the company became more than a business. It became a symbol of shared growth. When someone knows the pain of poverty, they understand deeply what it means to lack opportunity. That understanding creates empathy, and empathy turns into responsibility. As Hyundai grew, it became a vessel to provide work for people who, like its founder in childhood, once felt invisible in society. Jobs were created, communities were supported, and families that once struggled found stability. Every paycheck earned inside the company was more than money. It was dignity, pride, and hope carried home. This is what happens when success is rooted in lifting others instead of only lifting oneself. The beauty of this journey is that it showed success is not selfish. Success, when shared, becomes even more powerful. Hyundai did not stop at becoming a car manufacturer. It invested in progress, it became part of communities, and it offered proof that business can be a force for change. In every corner where its influence reached, lives were touched in ways that statistics cannot always measure. Children were sent to schools, families could dream bigger, and societies could begin to imagine futures once thought impossible. The mark of true leadership lies in remembering where you came from. When a leader rises from poverty, they carry within them a memory that never fades, the memory of hunger, of struggle, of being overlooked. That memory guides decisions, reminding them that wealth is not meant only for the few, but must be shared in ways that create possibilities for the many. Hyundai became successful because it carried this principle, proving that a business could grow large while still valuing the ordinary worker who gave their sweat and strength each day. The company's rise became a shared rise, and that is why its story continues to inspire. For young women especially, this lesson holds great power. Many times, society pressures us to chase personal success without reminding us of the responsibility that comes with it. But the Hyundai story teaches that success shines brightest when it is used to lift others. Whether it is in leadership, education, business, or personal dreams, the question should always be, who else can rise because I chose not to give up? That mindset transforms achievement into legacy. It turns a single life into a ripple that spreads outward, touching countless others. The measure of Hyundai's greatness is not simply in the number of cars sold or factories built. It is in the lives changed by its existence. Each worker who walked into its doors carried with them a story of resilience, and each one found a space to contribute, to grow, and to be part of something larger. True success created an ecosystem of progress where one person's dream became a doorway for thousands of others. That is the meaning of lifting others while rising yourself. Hyundai shows us that when success is shared, it multiplies. It creates not just wealth, but trust, not just progress, but purpose. And for anyone looking to achieve greatness, the lesson is clear. Rise as high as you can, but always make sure your rise leaves space for others to rise with you. You said, poverty is often seen as a permanent state, a wall that keeps people from moving forward, but in truth it is only a beginning. It is a condition of life, not the definition of life. Many of the world's greatest stories come from people who began with nothing, but who believed that beginnings do not determine endings. The story of Hyundai carries this truth in every chapter, showing that poverty may limit resources, but it can never limit vision, determination, or courage. A child who once struggled to survive, who once felt the weight of scarcity every single day, chose not to let poverty write the rest of their story. Instead, it became the soil in which strength and resilience grew. What makes poverty powerful is that it teaches lessons that comfort never can. It teaches patience when life moves slowly. It teaches endurance when every step feels heavier than the last. It teaches gratitude for the smallest of victories, the kind that others overlook. Most importantly, it teaches that success is not given, it is built. Each hardship becomes a lesson, and each lesson becomes a tool. With these tools, a person can carve a path out of the most difficult beginnings. That is how poverty, when met with determination, transforms from a barrier into a foundation. Hyundai's creation is a reminder that poverty does not hold the final word. Instead, it can become the reason to dream bigger, to push harder, and to create something that no one thought possible. For a child born poor, the world says you cannot, but determination replies that you can. The world says stay small, but vision answers grow larger. The world says accept your limits, but courage insists on breaking them. Poverty may have been the first chapter, but it was never the last. There is something uniquely powerful about people who rise from nothing. They carry inside them a drive that comes from knowing what it feels like to have no choice but to fight. Every opportunity they create later is deeply valued because they remember what it was like to have none. That memory becomes fuel, pushing them to never stop, to never settle, and to prove that even from the lowest place, the highest achievements are possible. Hyundai's journey is not about wealth, but about the refusal to let poverty dictate destiny. For young women especially, this lesson is vital. Too often, we are told that our struggles define us, that our limitations are stronger than our potential. But the truth is the opposite. Struggles are the training ground, the place where character is shaped. Poverty is not an identity, it is a circumstance, and circumstances can change. If a poor child could one day build something that now stands tall across the globe, then girls with dreams can also build futures beyond what society expects of them. What matters is not where you begin, but how fiercely you choose to rise. The story of Hyundai shows that poverty is not a chain to keep you down, but a challenge to make you stronger. Every difficulty faced in the early years became fuel for the vision that followed. Every rejection became motivation. Every moment of struggle became a step closer to success. Poverty gave discipline, resilience, and perspective, and those became the very qualities that turned a dream into a global reality. Poverty is not a life sentence, it is a test. It asks whether you will remain where you are or whether you will fight for more. The answer lies in determination, in courage, in the ability to dream even when nothing around you suggests it is possible. Hyundai stands as proof that poverty can be the first step in a journey toward greatness, a reminder that no matter how humble the start, the end can be extraordinary.